The story of the York College Prayer Chapel involves countless people spanning over 100 years and 2 continents. However, there is one theme to this story: unity in Christ. The history of the Prayer Chapel revolves around believers coming together to worship one God who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Our story begins in Germany in the mid-1800s. Political unrest in that country, coupled with the promise of a better life and free farmland in America, brought many immigrants to our shores. Thousands of Germans made their way to the frontier. Nebraska became a state in 1867, and the city of York was officially established 2 years later. By 1880, 14.5% of people living in Nebraska were born in Germany. A group of that number settled in the York area in 1878 and began holding non-denominational church services in the pioneers' homes. Some of these early settlers had names we still hear in York today, names like Kading, Krzyzewski, Jung, Haydn, and Hoffman. Minister K. Theo Gruber regularly traveled from Hampton, Illinois, and conducted services at Lutheran settlements in the West. At that time, York was a popular stopping place for travelers and traders. As the city grew, so did the number of German Lutherans that made the area their home. In 1878, the German Evangelical Lutheran Church was established in Thayer Township, and in 1880, they built their first church building, a simple structure that was also used as a school. By 1884, the church had its first residential minister, Wilhelm J. Gans, who also served as the school teacher. In 1890, the church was incorporated as the German Evangelical Lutheran St. Paul's Church. That same year, York College was founded, just 7 miles from the church building. By 1895, the congregation had outgrown their original building and began to discuss construction of a new facility. By 1901, the construction of a new building in the same location was completed. Their beloved Little White Church on the Plains is the same building in which you now stand. The congregation continued to grow, and the church building flourished under its care. Through the years, the modern world began to catch up with the rural church. In 1912, a telephone was installed in the minister's home. In 1919, the barn was remodeled to accommodate automobiles, and by 1924, half of the hitching posts were removed. In 1946, the church and school were wired for electric light. Over the years, the St. Paul's Church building was the site of annual area-wide missions festivals. The little church was the scene of many weddings, funerals, baptisms, and fellowship meals. The congregation was truly a family of believers that did much more than simply meet to worship once a week. The congregation celebrated its 75th anniversary in 1954 with much fanfare. 10 years later, the rural church was struggling to fill its pulpit. Eventually, the church disbanded, and members joined nearby congregations in York and Thayer. In 1965, many of the church's furnishings were auctioned off. The building was unoccupied for 36 years and fell into great disrepair.
It was a Sunday afternoon. I was attending an auction with my wife, and St. Joseph was building a new sanctuary, and they were having to dismantle the old one. In the process of the auction, I noticed several York College students there. This was their favorite place to come to pray and meditate. Over the next several months, I dropped in at St. Joseph's. I would find 1, 2, sometimes even 10 students there, just quietly seated, praying, meditating, sorting out a personal issue that they might have. That's when I knew there needed to be such a place on the York College campus. One of our graduates way back in 1955, Don Ellison, He said he knew where one was. I went out north of town about 7 miles and I found St. Paul's Lutheran Church. It had been abandoned for years, but it was perfect. It was gorgeous. I knew it would take a lot of work and a good bit of money to make it happen, but it was too right. And so we moved it to campus, and at the end of a lot of work, this is the result. Now it will be a place where weddings will take place, funerals will take place, and special emotional, spiritual moments for not just students of York, but for citizens of the city of York.
In December of 1999, the church was loaded onto the bed of a semi and gently transported to its new home on the York College campus, where a foundation had already been laid for it. It took 2 days to move the church, driving slowly down back roads to avoid traffic and power lines. The extensive reconstruction took several years to complete. Many people volunteered their time and labor. The renovation was made possible by key financial supporters John and Judy Smith and Jack and Barbara Rowe. The auditorium is named in memory of Donald Krause, whose estate gift made the completion of the project possible. The reconstruction was comprehensive, from basement to rafters, as the building was in dire need of repair. After the exterior of the chapel was finished, the intricate process of restoring the beauty of the inside of the chapel began. One of the final touches was the installation of the handsome stained glass windows that feature our school colors, blue and white. Now that the renovation is completed, we invite you to walk through the chapel. We hope that this place will provide you with a quiet environment for meditation and prayer. Our desire is that this place will come alive again, becoming an important fixture in our community and in the hearts and lives of our students for many years to come. We hope you enjoy the York College Prayer Chapel.